G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. I'm just walking through the bush at the moment. It's late afternoon on Sunday, and I've just taken a new track which didn't take me very far, just took me up to a road, but I'm just heading back to the main track, and I'll head over to the North Rocks Dam. I've probably got about half an hour of sunlight left, so what I thought I'd do is pump out another 5am Club to try and make today as productive as possible. This will be my 7th vlog, and I absolutely enjoy doing this. I love learning and I love passing it on wherever I can. For those who know me well, the last career job that I had, I worked as a commercial manager in a top-tier law firm here in Sydney. And today's book summary is entitled "The Law Says What?" So it's a little bit different to the normal vlogs that I do, but it's a look into the law, policing, society, to give us a better understanding. Yesterday, or the day before, Friday, we heard news that the court case, there was a number of court cases run against the New South Wales government, against the health minister, Brad Hazzard, and a few other people, suggesting that the health orders, the lockdown, the mandatory vaccinations for police officers, for people working in the medical industry, the health workers, ambulance workers, and there was quite a few who were part of this legal action. And the legal action, of course, failed, and it just goes to show that people, I guess, have different views in terms of what's legal, what's possible, what's not possible. But I guess the beauty is that we live in a free society, so people are entitled to have their day in court, and a number of people had their day in court, thinking that what the government was doing was unconstitutional, what it was doing was incorrect and invalid, what they were doing was against personal freedoms, and a whole host of things that they raised. But the case was heard, and it was a little bit of a shambles, to tell you the truth, from what I was able to read, because a number of the pieces of evidence and documents that were raised and excuses and reasons that were used were quite fake and incorrect in the first place. So, I guess having worked in a law firm, you do understand that lawyers are, I guess, required to support people in their legal challenges, and I guess they have a responsibility and a duty to let them know if what they're trying to achieve is indeed possible. But because there's a huge grey area in the law, and there are sometimes unscrupulous lawyers about who are willing to take on cases, A, knowing that they're going to get paid anyway, and B, on the proviso that if they do fluke a win, then it becomes a precedent that can change the way society operates going forward. So the author here in the book The Law Says What, and the author is Maclen Stanley. Goes through a few points here and basically says that land, money and access to goods and services impact fundamental rights and privileges and even basic freedoms. And a lot of those things are all shaped by the law. So the law is an evolving sort of beast. But sometimes you've got to do what you've got to do. And when you have a once in a 100-year pandemic, which impacts people's health, impacts people's financial, physical and mental health, then the government of the day has a responsibility to not a minority, but to the majority of its constituents. So, based on that, the world that we live in today is, and the world that we know today, has taken a long time to shape. And it's taken a long time, and it's been shaped through the use of common sense, but also by a number of court cases that have been run around the world where people have had a similar, not exactly the same, but a similar sort of gripe or challenge, and a legal system has given a judgment, and this is called precedent law. But law has many grey areas. It's not black and white, and it's open to interpretation. And the reason why it's open to interpretation is because no two cases are ever the same, no circumstances are ever the same, and it's always a little bit different. It's got a different twist. And we know through our friends, our family, our children, that people will just keep on looking for an angle to get you to change your mind or to do something. And similarly, law has people who, for some reason or other, want to achieve justice, and the justice could be a real justice or a justice that's been manipulated by the people providing the guidance, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So there's no absolute truth when it comes to society and the functioning and development of laws. The first formal point that the author talks about is where he talks about the police. And the police have been in the news a lot with Black Lives Matter in the recent protests, and they've copped a bit of a whack from the media, because people now can video and record and document incidents, which makes it even harder for police to do their work. And you've got a lot of people now who think that they know their rights. You've got a lot of people who, I guess, are influenced and are guided through internet, social media groups, which tells them that if you say this or if you do that, then you can't get arrested, or basically they're just putting out I guess misinformation and disinformation in some way, just to test the legal system. But because there are so many grey areas in law, the police in many ways are also toothless tigers. How many times do you hear where somebody's done a crime, police have arrested them, it's pretty obvious what has happened, but because there's a technicality, and they've got a good solicitor or lawyer, then they get off, not because they're right, but it's because of some technicality. So most people who are arrested never end up getting a fine or get jailed, is my understanding from what I've observed over the years. The author here talks about if you shoot someone. Let's see what we can learn from this. So what they're saying is that if you shoot someone, or if somebody comes into your home, it's a tricky situation, because you need to prove that you thought that you had or were in imminent danger. Not a future threat, but at that point in time, you felt that there was going to be imminent danger. The second thing is that you can't defend yourself if you initiated the fight. You know how sometimes some people initiate an altercation. It's very, very hard to defend yourself, to say that you're defending yourself if you've initiated something in the first place. But the author here mentions that if you initiate something and then it escalates and you try to withdraw and they become aggressive, then this changes the situation. So if somebody insists that they want to fight you, or that they want to stab you, or they won't let you go, then even if you've initiated the altercation, if you're able to prove that you said that you don't want any trouble, put your hands up, I don't want any trouble. And I guess it's a good little tactic to say it loud and clear that you don't want any trouble. Then whatever happens after that changes the situation. And the third thing that the legal system looks at, according to this author, is that you need to use proportionate force. And it needs to be proportionate to the danger, to the real danger. So you can't go over the top, which is important to understand and to take into consideration. Not that I have a problem with that, because I've never had a fight, even though I'm a 2-dan black belt. I've never had the need to get to that point. And the third formal point that the author comes and talks to us about is that you can't defend yourself using booby traps. So, because you can't booby trap your house to say you're trying to protect yourself when there could be a stranger looking for shelter, or a child coming into your backyard looking for their lost ball. And the author here reminds us that the legal system uses a reasonableness test. Because what they say is that traps, when you're trying to trap somebody, it's a bit of a silly sort of thing to think about, but traps can't assess the situation and the risk. So there you go. That's another book. I don't know how useful it is, but as I said, there isn't a book that I've read that I haven't picked something out of it that is useful and can help us with understanding our world and our lives, and passing the information on and the advice on to others. So thanks very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club, where we stepped through a book summary entitled The Law Says What by Maclen Stanley. And I guess the key point that I learned from here is that to understand that laws in general have many grey areas. It's not black and white, and it's difficult for people trying to police them. It's difficult for people trying to enforce them and to make judgments on them. And it's difficult for people to extract justice. And we hear it all the time. We know about this, that gaining justice is something which is very, very difficult in this day and time. So in terms of the shooting and in terms of self-defense, I guess that's probably not all that interesting because it doesn't impact most people. But it's, I guess, the important thing that I learned in martial arts and in self-defense is always put up your hands and say you don't want any trouble. And if they insist or if they carry on, then whatever you do after that, at least you've tried to get yourself out of the situation. Take care, everybody, and I look forward to coming to you again from a different location with a different message, hopefully a message of empowerment that we can use to improve our situation, our knowledge, to give us things to think about and to take you on a journey, to take you to places that you may never have been before and places that you can possibly just enjoy vicariously from the comfort of your lounge, your hospital bed, or your cafeneo chair while sitting overseas on the other side of the world. Yassas, everybody, take care, and another beautiful day has come to an end, and I stand here at the foot of the North Rocks Dam. And this dam is here just to, stop the huge surge of water so that Parramatta and all the suburbs downstream from here don't get flooded when it gets really, really wet. I look forward to coming to you again from this location where I'll be up the top of those stairs and I can access that from the other side where the water comes charging out of that tunnel and just bounces off these walls before it heads downstream. Take care, yassas, and we'll chat again. Bye for now.